Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, one and all.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Could Samsung SM 035 and 055 identify themselves, please? Good afternoon, C. Your ID, please.
Hi, good evening. We will start in a couple of minutes. We're just giving people to sign in, plus one or two persons who are having problems signing in. So we're trying to get everything resolved.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Yes. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join our annual Scout Town Hall meeting. As usual, we're going to start with a word of prayer, and I'm going to ask Martin to open up with a word of prayer.
Let us pray. Almighty God, as we come together and meet on this forum, we give you thanks and praise for giving us the opportunity, the will, and the wherewithal to do so. As we meet, give us clarity of voice and of thought to think and to deliver. Give us open ears and hearts to hear and to understand. Let us have good discussions so at the end we'll be clearer as to where we intend to go over the next year. Be with us as we meet, dear God, all those who are coming on. Let them do so speedily that we can all be on the same page. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Martin. Okay, again, thank you for taking the time to join us. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping. We are on Zoom and YouTube. If you are on Zoom, please keep your microphone muted. If you have a question to ask, you can raise your hand using the raise hand, or you can put a message in the chat. When you are acknowledged, then you can turn on your microphone and speak. You can also write questions in the chat. Martin is monitoring that, and he will just let me know if he sees any questions come up in the chat. And if you are following us on YouTube, you can also ask questions there as well. Marva is monitoring that, and she would pass on any questions that you may have, all right? And I will answer them. As always, please ask the questions when they come up. Do not wait to the end to then ask a question about something that we were talking about at the beginning of the meeting. It is supposed to be a discussion, so we want your input. And as usual, we will say there are no stupid questions. So ask away. This is your time to be able to ask questions about what is happening in scouting or give your opinion and suggestions on what we are doing. Most of the things being discussed here are not finalized, so your input is valid and welcome. So without further ado, let us move on with the agenda, and we go to number 3, brief reports on the current scout year. I'm going to touch on a couple of things that have been happening. And again, even though it's not a discussion session, you're welcome to ask questions about what is being said. The first item is projects. We have 3 projects that are ongoing now. Scouts Leap, which most of you know, A Greener Barbados, which is a new project, and Scouting Renewed, which is something we started in 2022. It was never written up before like a full project. There was a number of things that we looked to accomplish, but is now in project form. I will touch on LEAP and Scouting Renewed because A Greener Barbados is one of the discussion points further on. Everybody knows Scouts Leap, I believe by now. The project has stalled because the main sponsor did not come on at the time they were supposed to come on. That was a bit of a disappointment since that was the agency that came to us originally about participating in the project. But due to different issues, they could not commit at the time, and the project stalled because the money received from Massey was not for the full project. It wasn't for full parts of the project. So we could not continue without the rest of the fund. Let me just take a few minutes to explain how project funding works. You go to an agency and you say you want to do A, B, and C. And if the agency agrees, they will give you money for A, B, and C. And the money can only be spent on A, B, and C. So if in between there, even though you get $100,000 from a grant for LEAP, and then a tree branch fall down here and mash up part of the roof of the building, I cannot take out the people grant money and go and fix the roof because the money can only spend on A, B, and C. And these people check some of the agencies. In fact, you can't even disperse money unless you get the approval once it's over, I think it's $5,000 or something like that. So if you spend the money other than A, B, and C, the people can tell you, I want back my money, and you have to find the money to give it back to them. You sign legal agreements to get the money. I just want to clarify that for everybody. So when you hear these figures, don't think that's money we got in the kitty to spend on scouting in general. Doesn't work so. Anyway, back to Lee. We had a case where Massey said we can pay for half of A, half of B, half of C. But the half of A there we're paying wasn't enough to finish A or even get A running fully. See, anyway, B and C, we couldn't even get to C because it was in progression. And that is one of the reasons the project stalled. It was not a case where we could take Massey money and finish A and do half of B and then wait for the rest of the money to finish B and do C. That's not how it works. But now that the agency has come on board, I signed the agreement on the 31st of December, but the money has not come as yet. We are hoping that the money will be dispersed by the end of this month so that we can get going as soon as possible in April. As you can appreciate, and I've been trying to get into different people we discuss things with, our program runs on a school year. And therefore, we can't be going into July and August with things for the groups to do. There are certain minor things that they can, but not major sections of the project. Otherwise, you have to wait till September to start back. And that's why we're trying to get the project up and running as soon as possible. All right, so that we can get in at least 3 months of the project before we break for the summer break. That is LEAP. Scouting Renewed is the program that we started in 2022 to re-envision scouting and to put a new image to the association. Refresh our image so that people see what scouting is today as opposed to what scouting was in 1912 when we started. Our principles are the same, but our programs cannot be the same. The boy of 1912 is not the boy of 1984 or even 2000. All right? And definitely is not the boy of 2025. So our program, like every other association, must renew every X number of years. Not that we change our principles, not that we change the final goals that we are looking to, but the way that the program is presented and the activities that we use to reach our goals have to change. And that is where Scouting Renewed came in. I recently wrote up, put it into a project for the AG's office because we did an application through this program for funding of this project. And we received approval for it. Those of you who are following the estimates, it was in the news. Well, it was said in the estimates and then it was carried on the news. Then somebody read it on brass tacks as well. So, I mean, it became public record that we got the money. But again, the money is for specific things to be done. It is not just an open thing that we get that money and we can just spend it as we want. That's not how that works either. The Scouting Renewed funding, give me a minute, I don't want to give you wrong information. Are you sharing that? Are you sharing the agenda or are you sharing the, oh, the agenda, okay. No, it's a PDF that opens. Okay. We're going to pay for implementing the youth program, implementing safe from harm policy, revision of the youth program, and not the whole thing, parts of it, an adult recruitment drive, uniform support, and I can come to that later on, headquarters administration, which is improving the operations at headquarters and as well providing an administrative assistant for 1 year at headquarters, and then a youth member recruitment drive. Those were broken down into different things, expenses for how we accomplish those different things, and funding was provided for it. I'm not going to discuss implementing safe and harm because that is the next discussion. That's the first discussion. But for the other aspects of it, there will be training that will be provided. For all the training under all these projects will be free of cost to the leadership. Or for the implementing youth program where training is provided for youth members, and that will also be free. But again, the leaders need to avail themselves to the training. The way that we are structuring it right now, each course, just like how first aid was done, will be offered 3 times, and you will be required to complete it in one of those times. In those 2 to 3 times, the training will be free. Outside of those 3 times, there is no guarantee that the training will be free. There may be a cost attached to it. That's why you need to avail yourselves in the first 3 times the courses are run, so that you can ensure that you take advantage of the free courses. Some of the courses, like first aid, will be mandatory. And again, to get your appointment renewed, you will have to have completed the courses. Okay? So that is it for now for me on projects, unless anybody has any questions. National camp. We're having a national camp from the 9th to 15th of April at the Blackman and Golla Primary School. The Cubs and Scouts and Venture Scouts will be in for that period, 9th to the 15th, and the Beaver Scouts will be in for the 11th and 12th of April. It is the first time that all 4 sections will be camping at the same time in the same place. And it may be, I cannot say for sure, the first time that the first 3 sections will be camping at the same time in the same place. For all the camps that I can remember from when I was in Scouts back in the 70s, even though we may have camped at the same time, we were in different locations. I do not recall all of us camping at the same place at the same time. So it is a first, and I would like to encourage everybody to be part of this activity. And let me say it this way, be part of this historic activity. It is something that we should have done from ever since. It is the only way we can function as one association is if we all get to know each other and how we operate. And this camp will provide that opportunity for us to see each other, to get to know each other, and to see how our various sections truly operate. When we do training now, we hear about the different sections, but this will be an actual practical experience. And I'd like to encourage everybody to be there. Applications time has not closed as yet, although we need to get in the forms right away because certain arrangements have to be made. Like, for instance, ordering t-shirts, etc., have to be done now. We cannot go to the company 2 days before camp and tell them, look, I want 400 t-shirts by tomorrow. That's not how it works. So we need to get in the forms, even if all the money has not been collected as yet. We need to get in those forms. For leaders who haven't decided yet, I urge you, please make yourself available if you can to be part of this activity. With respect to boys that are coming to camp have to be supervised. They don't have to be supervised by their leader if the leader has made arrangements with another group or within their district to provide supervision for their boys. In other words, you may not be able to go, but you have, let's say, 4 or 5 boys who want to go, and another leader that you know don't have their full complement for the leaders that they're taking to camp, and they said, yes, I will look after your 4 boys. That is allowed. Or you go to your district and say, listen, my boys want to go, but I cannot go for whatever reason. And if the district can identify leaders, then the district can provide that cover. So please do not make the assumption because you cannot go that your boys cannot go. I'm not saying that they're going to be able to go automatically, but arrangements can be made. But they have to be made now, not the weekend before camp. So please consider it out. Talk to your boys, your parents, those who are still on the fence, and get them to commit if they are committing so that we can get certain things in place for the camp. We cannot wait till the last minute to be making the final arrangements for the camp. So we need to know as soon as possible who will be in camp. Okay? Any questions on camp before we move on? Next item is promotional videos. Excuse me a minute, please. Sorry about that. We have been attempting to make a number of promotional videos to use in both of our recruitment drives. As you can appreciate, most things done now are digital. For any advertising we are going to do to recruit both adults and then later on youth members will be digital. There will be we will be using online ads, we will be using social media, we'll be using different platforms to get out our message for recruitment. So therefore, we need to get the promotional videos done. While we may have some videos done already, some of them are not the quality that we would want because they cannot be integrated into every platform we may want to use. For instance, if we're looking at certain video streaming platforms, or even the television, some of the videos we have will not translate properly. And therefore, we need to do new ones, we need to do better ones. But this can only be done with your support. I have sent out repeated requests asking people to assist with the videos, both adults and boys. We have gotten very little response, and I'm putting out the plea again now to assist with these videos. We need to have videos from each section, and then we need to have videos with persons from multiple sections. We need videos of activities taking place. We need videos in the sense of interviews with various persons on why they join Scouts, both youth and adult. These are the kind of things we need to do, but they need to be done in a controlled environment. So taking video at a PAC meeting may not necessarily be the quality we want or may not show exactly what we want. What we need to do is to set up a number of situations where we stage certain things and videotape them. And record the videos. We don't use video, sorry. But that can only be done if we have the boys. We did the earlier request for the district so that the districts will be evenly represented in the videos. But we have moved past that now. Not that that door is not still open, but from now on, going forward, we will use who we get. If all the boys that we get for a particular thing is from one group, then all will be from that one group. If they're all from one district, then they will be all from one district. All right, that's how we operate in. We cannot wait any longer. It's been over a year because actually this item on the agenda from last year's agenda, I didn't even put this in this time. All right, so since last year we were asking for this and it has not happened. So we are moving forward with who we may have. If you or your group wants to get involved, you need to contact either myself or the chair of the communications committee. You can contact them at communications@barbadoscouts.org. Or you can send an email to headquarters@barbadoscouts.org, and let us know you are interested in assisting with that. Please note that any boys you are sending must be in correct uniform or must be in correct activity wear, depending on the activity. So if you're doing a recording with boys in uniform, they got the right uniform, they got the badges in the right places, etc. And I know we don't have all the uniform in the shop. If you got to borrow a cap from somebody else, then you will have to do that. But we can't say the caps in the shop, so we can record the boy without a cap. Or we can record it without a shirt because we short the shirts in certain sizes. The people that are being recorded have to be in correct uniform. There's a little more leeway if we are in activity wear, but please be conscious of that. Any questions on that or comment? Registration 2025-2026. Registration forms will go out probably the end of this week, beginning of next week. And as usual, they must be returned by the 30th of April. I say usual because that's been the thing for the last 3 years, if I remember correctly. We have moved to April date because of how busy March is and the fact that in March you're registering at the end of the year. We're registering at the beginning of the year. It starts April 1st. 2 things to note. First, registration for youth members will be increased from this year. Sorry, from next year's registration. That's 2025-2026, because the year starts April 1st. Youth member registration will now be $5 per boy. The leader, commissioner, associate member, and executive associate member registrations will remain the same. Okay? I do not think that $5 is too much to ask for a year's registration. In fact, based on what the discussions we had in Colombia, even at $5, we will probably have some of the lowest registration in the region, not the lowest. In fact, most people could not believe that our registration was $3 Barbados dollars, or $1.50 US. Even for organizations here in Barbados, that is extremely low. My concern is the amount of people that tell me that they cannot afford the $3 registration. And I believe that that is a cop-out. That's my personal belief. However, like everything else, for those who genuinely cannot afford $3, or in this case, $5, support can be had. But notice what I said. genuinely. You cannot tell me you cannot afford $3 in registration a year and spend $10 in snacks a week at school. I don't buy that. Okay? It has to be genuine. But support is available for those who may not be able to. That goes as well for leaders and commissioners who may not be able to afford their registration and genuinely have a problem. They can request assistance through their districts. Assistance is always available in cases of genuine need. The other thing about registration is we're going back to the way it was. Registration is due on the 30th of April. And then there will be a grace period of maybe a week or so, maybe 2 if I depend on how things are going. And then after that, if your group is not registered, it will be suspended. I don't like to take the heavy hand, but we allow people leeway because of COVID. And you couldn't meet and you couldn't get together and all of that. And we think, but no, we are far from there and people are still having that as an excuse. So we have registration in April and all September, people are now submitting their registration. And I don't mean the additional members registration, I mean the no sending in the registration. All in December, people are now paying their registration from April. That has to stop. Registration is not that outrageous, and there is a time for it. As I said, for people who need assistance, assistance can be provided. But registration, both forms and money, must come in on time. If your group does not submit their forms and there is an accident and somebody gets hurt, the insurance will not cover it because they can ask for a list of our members, and a list of our members are the persons who have submitted registration for the year in question, not the previous year, not the previous 2 years, year in question. The fact that you ain't get time to fill out the forms or send them to your district or wherever else does not matter. Not registered, you are not covered. And more than likely, the courts could rule that we are liable, which means the association will have to find the money for the accident because the insurance ain't covering it, but whoever get hurt can go get paid, and we will have to be seeing how we can find money to pay that body. And that is not some kind of liability that we should be considering, not when it's a simple matter of covering it by getting in your registration forms. The information required is the same as every year. The only people you need to get information from are the new boys that join. You gotta get the name and the date of birth. And when they join your group, you should have collected that information. But the names and date of birth, unless somebody had a name change, for the boys that was in the group from the year before, is there on the registration form from last year. All right, you don't have to go and collect that information again. And you should have a copy of that. Your record keeping should not be that poor, because that's another thing you're required to keep as a group scout leader or a leader in charge. So let us be clear about that. Any questions about that? Any comments before we move into the discussion sessions? Any questions come up in either chats? cannot email the promotional videos because more than likely, if it's a good enough quality, it will be too large to email. You need to email communications@barbadoscouts.org and let them know that you have a video, and they will give you a link where you can upload the video to. There's a Google form that you can use that they will send you the link to, and you can upload the videos or photographs to that Google form. Anything else? Okay. Let's move on to item 4, discussion. Implementing our safe from harm policy. We have a couple of questions here that we want to think. All right, safe from harm policy. Earlier for some time, we have been talking about safe from harm for the longest time. We have accepted a general safe from harm policy, which required us all to complete the safe from harm course online and get our online certificates once we were dealing with bugs, whether it be leader or volunteer. As required by World, we went further ahead and we adopted a national safe from harm policy, which was circulated for consultation, and then we agreed to the policy, and the policy was adopted by the executive in September of 2024. Everybody, the policy was emailed out to everybody. It was circulated by WhatsApp as well, and it was placed on the website where it can be downloaded free of cost at barbadoscouts.org/RES. RES standing for resources. The policy is on that page that you can download it, but also for those who can't download or don't have printers, there are physical copies of the policy on sale in the Scout shop. So you can get a copy there as well. The policy is very far-ranging, and the question has been asked, how will we implement it? We came up with a strategy for implementing the policy. But it will require us to train both our youth and adult members and volunteers about the policy. Sensitization will have to be done for youth members, and it will have to be age appropriate. So there will be training for beavers, cubs, scouts, venture scouts, adults. We will be producing some training materials and games and videos that the leader can use to sensitize their boys about the safe from harm policy. Because obviously, to be safe from harm, the youth members will have to know what is harm, what is considered harm, before they can be sure that they're safe from it. People usually think of harm in the sense of physical or sexual, but that is not the only harm we are supposed to be being safe from. They're the two most common, more than likely, but they're not the only type. And therefore, that is why the training is necessary at youth level. But before we get there, we have to train our leaders so that they are aware of the policy, they have the skills to implement the policy, and they understand how to report any harm that happens, whether on their watch or otherwise. This is extremely important now, especially with the new Child Protection Act and what it requires of caregivers. Okay, so this training is essential for us to get hold a minute. Sorry about that. I got a message about somebody having problems. They had to pass. Okay. So we need to get this done. As we said, training will be done in different, repeated a certain number of times so that everybody will have the opportunity to be trained. That is why it will be free, and that is where the funding come in under the grant to help us build capacity among our adult members. The training we will be doing under Safe from Harm. We'll be conducting sessions in anger management, conflict resolution, bullying prevention, achieving and maintaining good mental health, the first set. Then we will also be doing GDPR, which we have been doing already online. And there is also a session on risk assessment and reporting. The first 5 I mentioned will be done with outside partners. We are bringing in professionals in to conduct those sessions, and those sessions will be completed with the adults, and there will be it will be the trainer's course, so they will be training you so that you can pass on these skills to your charges. Okay, it's not them coming in and doing it with the boys themselves. They are training you so that you can do it with your boys. All right, as I said, all that training will be free. The GDPR right now is online, and it will stay online unless we get requests for in-person training. And GDPR is General Data Protection Regulations. And with all the recent data breaches, that is exactly what GDPR is about. It is about how you handle the data that you receive, people's personal information. And you do receive that. Because when a boy joins your group, he fills out a membership form, application form, whatever you want to call it, where it has all where he lives, who his parents or guardians are, where they live, where they work, and that kind of information. That is information now that needs to be guarded. Which means you just can't left the forms anywhere for any and everybody to read, or for anybody to pick up. Leave them at work in your desk drawer, and then you go on vacation and leave them there. These are all things that we have done in the past that is not allowed anymore. And that is what you need to complete the GDPR course. What you do with the forms when the boy leaves, things like that. And these are things we need as leaders in 2025 to know and understand. That's where all this training comes in. Risk assessment is a fancy word, fancy phrase, fancy term. It comes up in all kinds of things now I've been seeing. But risk assessment is basically what we used to do when we go in camp. When we plan a camp, as you remember, and you look at all the things that can go wrong and how you can solve them. That's risk assessment. Fancy title for something that we normally do. But we will be conducting a course so that everybody understands what it is they're supposed, what kind of risk they are supposed to be assessing and planning for. Our reporting will be explaining to you the reporting system that we have implemented so that you can report cases where there was harm or where participants of an activity can anonymously report harm that they experienced or witnessed. And all that will be in the reporting course as well. The other question there is, how long would we expect this to take? We expect that implementation will take us 12 to 18 months. In reality, we would like to have it done by December, but we know that's not possible. But what I can say we will be aiming to do is that by December, at least one of each course would have been completed. So that at least some of the leaders would have completed all the training if they so desire. As I said, we are using outside persons to do some of the training, so we have to work out how we can work out the schedules, especially with the amount of activities we have as well on Saturdays. Because we would appreciate most of the training will have to be done on Saturdays, since most persons in scouting work Monday to Friday. But we will be seeing what other arrangements can be made for persons who indicate a problem with doing it on a Saturday. For each course that is being offered, a form will go out for you to register. You have to register to be able to take part in the course. The course, most of them are one-day courses. We need to make sure that there are enough people there in order to pay the instructor to be there. Because if only 3 people can turn out, it makes no sense paying an instructor the money for their time for a whole day for 3 people. So if you do not register, the course will not come off. Also, in the funding, lunch is provided for all the one-day courses. And we need to know to tell the caterer how much lunch you provide. So if 6 people register, we went ahead with the course, there'll be lunch for 6 people. So if 8 turn up, the other 2 will do without lunch. They end up taking out something from each body on to make up for them. That it don't work so no more. We passed that time. There'll be ample opportunity to register if you want to take part, and you will have that opportunity to do so. Who will it affect? It will affect everyone that comes in contact with any program or activity run by the Barbados Boy Scouts Association. Anyone must be aware of the Safe from Harm policy. Everyone will not have to do the courses that we talked about, but everybody coming in contact with any of our activities or programs must be aware of the Safe from Harm policy. Because we cannot have them coming in to do an activity and then breaching the policy, and then there's a report that such and such happened. And there's a case that the body did not know. So at this point, I will open it to feedback, but it's supposed to be a discussion. I tell you all what we are thinking. I want your feedback now, what you all think, how practical you think it is, and or do you think there's another way we should go about trying to implement our Safe from Harm policy? Questions?
Good evening, Mr. Jones and everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Just to be clear on your last point of persons that come in contact, you say they must be aware. Can you elaborate on what we classify as awareness?
Yes. Remember I said there will be kind of materials produced. So there will be a pamphlet and or video for persons that will be coming in, let's say as instructors or resource people for an activity, right? So that they will be then aware of the Safe from Harm policy. So them to fill out whatever time, they will click that yes, they have read the information on the policy or whatever. For a person who can be directly involved, let's say providing care for boys, it'd be different. They're going to do Safe from Harm certificate. But I'm talking about a person coming in to do a session for you at PAT or at camp. There'll be something there that you could share with them, that you could email to them or WhatsApp to them, that basically identifies what our safe from harm policy is. That's what we consider having knowledge.
Would there be a classification of persons coming into contact, or will this be anyone coming into contact?
There will be classifications based on what you need to do. But for anyone coming in contact, they should know the safe from harm policy of the association. Not necessarily that they download the whole big book, that ain't that big, but still the whole booklet and read it per se. But they will have access on where to get that from. But at least a simplified something explaining to them what it is.
Yeah, all right, let me be more specific. I sort of just thinking possibilities.
Yeah.
Let's say somebody that is a nurse and deals with young people, and I ask them to come to do a session.
Yes. They will be
That
aware.
scenario,
Yeah,
they
they
have
need
to
to
be aware of it.
They need to be aware of it. Because you can't have them come and interact with the boys the way that we have told them that's not the correct way.
Why you
Because that
ask
might be
that
the way
question?
that might be the way they're used to doing it.
The reason I specifically went to nurse and the classification is that would that a nurse be seen in a particular realm of treatment and knowing how to deal with a person versus, so I'm just trying to see if you would get a clash with that person being a nurse, being asked now to declare that they understand safe from harm. I was just trying to get that link.
Yes.
But,
It will be a clash for some people, but we will have to reach a point where if you can take part in our program, then you have to follow this. All right?
okay, noted. Okay, noted.
Because it's not so much what they knew, it is how they interact with the boys that could be a problem. Right? So that they may be used to dealing with people at secondary school, let me put it that way, and then come and try and deal with the beavers the same way. And expect them to be quiet and still the same way, and then react when they're not, and quote unquote breach the safe from harm. Okay? That's what I mean. All right?
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, Chief. I'm David here.
Yeah.
What if the person comes, you show them the information, they are aware of the policy, and for some reason there's a breach? What happens then?
That is where the reporting come in. Remember, there's gonna be a session on reporting.
Oh yeah.
As a leader, you will have a way of reporting what happened at the session. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Because we before may not get that stage, but let me say now the boy go home and complain, his parent or whoever, who then use the reporting portal to make a complaint, then we really should know about it before, because we got your report, that such and such happened. All right?
Okay. Yeah.
Good. That's where it comes in. And it will be better if you having a resource person come in, you let them know about the policy before they get there. I mean, sometimes that's what can happen, but it'd be good to let them know beforehand so that if they got any queries, they could raise it with you before they get there. Yeah. Mhm. Any other questions? No, a parent that, somebody asked a question, but parent needs to do is safe and harm course if they do not interact with the boys. No, they don't. If the parent just comes and collect their child and drop it off, and that's it, no, they do not. If that parent is going to be coming and helping you on an evening with clubs or coming to camp to help you with camp, then yes. What some people do is ask everybody to do it when they join. That way, when they do turn out and you need to say, listen, Jane, I needed to help you out there because your sister income, then a problem with Jane having a safe harm certificate because she already do it already. Okay, but technically speaking, parents who do not interact with the boys do not need to do the safe from harm certificate. Okay. You know what happened there? You think. All right. Moving on to Green to Barbados, Scouts for Sustainability. As I said, our founders there, everybody may not have been there, so I can do a little introduction on that. We, WUSM and UNICEF came up with an initiative called Green Skills for Youth-Led Climate Action. They selected 8 associations worldwide to pilot the program. And we were selected as one of the 8. There were 2 from our region, and we were one of 2. It was us and Ecuador were chosen as the 2 pilot associations for this region. We completed the initial training in November, 15 persons from Barbados, and the task assigned at the training was for us to develop a project for Barbados under the whole Green Skills initiative, addressing 3 of the items in the initiative. When we discussed it, we chose environmental protection, sustainable gardening, and reforestation. We chose those because these were things we already do. The project is being funded. They provide $20,000 US for the project. And although that sounds a lot, in actual fact, when we completed the budgeting for the project, instead of being 20,000, we were at 34,000. So we were over budget by 14,000 US. And by being over budget, we were saying that we will provide the additional funding to get the project completed. Luckily, we don't have to look for that full 14,000 US. And that is because, but when you're budgeting, just like when you're doing camp, you have to put in things that you may be getting in donations, etc., into the budget. And therefore, the assistance we are hoping to get from different ministries and different agencies in Barbados would be going towards the 14,000 that we have to look to put in. Because budgeting, of course, for the workshop, you have to put in a cost for the location you're going to be keeping the workshop at and for instructors. If we were able to use a school for instance, a school hall free of charge, that in kind will be going into our contribution to that. Okay? But we still have to look for some money because all the 14,000 that we over budget is not going to come out in kind, but it won't be that full amount. Before I get here, I think that's the answer. How many? Oh. The project is open, unlike LEAP, which has geographical boundaries for where the activity can take place. The Green and Barbados is open to every member of the association. We will also be including several of our partners, including the Girl Guides, Duke of Edinburgh International Award, and one or two others. I don't want to call their names because we have not reached agreement with them as well. I can mention the Girl Guides because I've spoken to the commission about that, and she's willing to participate in the project, and I can say the same thing for Duke of Edinburgh. The 15 people that were trained are not all commissioners and are not all leaders as well. You notice the name of the original thing is Youth-Led Climate Action. And we are supposed to be putting emphasis on youth participation. In fact, the 3 people in charge for each activity, which is the environmental protection, sustainable gardening, and reforestation, should be under the age of 30 if possible. We've only identified one person so far, that is for environmental protection, and that segment is being led by Tashawn Callender. He is assistant scout leader at Carson College, and that is actually his field, and where he is working right now is involved in environmental protection. So he was the right body to put at, and he agreed to deal with that section of the project. We still have to identify persons for the others. Unlike other things we've done where everything runs at the same time, this project must run in stages. So in other words, we will do environmental protection. Then we will do a sustainable gardening, and then we will do reforestation. And we must finish by the end of November. There's a timeline attached to it. The segments can overlap, so like there'll be a 2-month gap where we are doing both or something, but they will run in that progression. First one will be environmental protection. Before I get into that, let me get into that first. Environmental protection, we will be looking to do at least four beach cleanups and 2 gully cleanups. Okay? The beach cleanups will be for everybody. The gully cleanups, because of the nature of them, will involve the older scouts, venture scouts, and adults. And when I say adults, adults in this case is not restricted to leaders. Parents and guardians are counted in the adults. In fact, they are counted in all aspects of this project. Okay? And we will be using our other partners to assist us with the gully cleanups as well. In addition to those, there will be, I believe, is 2 or 3 workshops. I think we looked at 1 in each district, so it would have been 3. Conducted on proper waste disposal. So 1 would be in the north, 1 would be in the south, and 1 would be in Bridgetown. We have already reached out, contact with one of the ministries. I don't want to be calling any names till we finalize any agreements. And actually personnel from that are anxious to be part of this because they were looking at doing the same thing. So they are looking to use this as their launching pad for what they are planning. and they have actually agreed to conduct the workshops for us. As in conduct them, as in be the resource person there, not going to find the people to come to the workshop. That's still our job. Sustainable gardening will be encouraging gardening at home. We have been doing some of that with LEAP, and that's what we're going to tie in with that with. So we're going to look at container gardening and encouraging people to start gardens at home. And in this case, it will not be limited to our members. We will be encouraging people generally to start gardens at home. Part of this project for this section was community gardening, but we didn't try to attempt that because we don't know how community gardening is work. For those of you that don't know, in England and places like that, in housing areas, there's got a lot for community gardening. So everybody's got a little part in the lot and they're going to plant the vegetables and thing. And usually the boy don't interfere with them. So when you plant at your bed or 2 beds, wherever you are allotted, and you come back, your stuff can be there. We wasn't sure how that would work here, and we didn't want to attempt that at this time. So we are sticking to backyard gardening. For this, in addition to teaching our members about it, there will be workshops as well on that and what is sustainable gardening and the most organic ways of gardening at home. We are going to be creating some starter packs for you to start gardening at home, container gardening. So it will be a small amount of soil mix and like 2 seedlings and instructions on how to plant them and care for them. And we're going to create, excuse me a minute, please. Sorry about that. We have another meeting happening out here, and the person's just arrived and wanted to get let in. Yeah, sorry about that again. Yes, we'll be creating these starter packs and we're going to be distributing them to the public. I think there's supposed to be 750 of them or something like that. So in other words, we will go to Massey and Warren's one Saturday with a number of them and give them out to members of the public who may want to start, or to Town somewhere, or Spikestown, or 6 Roads, or, we will spread it around, but that's the intention. What we will do for that is the consultant that we get for that to assist, rather than doing a pure leaflet telling you how to do them, we're going to do a couple of videos, which we will have on our YouTube channel, and each starter kit will come with a QR code. So you will be able to scan the QR code that will take you to the videos where the body will be telling you how to prepare your container, how to plant the seedlings, things like that, and how to care for them, right? And then we will be asking for feedback. That's going to be the hardest part of that project, not getting feedback from us, getting feedback from other people. What we are going to do for that, though, is when we give you a kit, we can ask you to register to get it so that we have a way of getting back to you to find out what progress was made. Then the third aspect is reforestation, which is easy tree planting. Do that all the time. But this will be with a difference. In addition to planting the trees, and our goal is 1,000 if I remember correctly, and again, we're going to be using our partners to help us reach that goal. We have to plant the tree but then go back and, because the idea is not so much to plant in your backyard, or that is, although that's allowed, but to go to an area and plant a number of trees, similar to what we did in Greenland a number of years ago, something like that. That's what we are looking at. But having planted the trees over the next 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, it will require us to go back and check on the trees at least 3 times to make sure that they are surviving. And in the case where they may not have survived, then to replant a new seedling. Okay? So it's just not going to plant the tree and that's it. You gotta make sure that it starts to grow. Okay? And that's what the project, that's basically the project there. The first part will be April to June, if I remember correctly, then June to September, and then September to November. Okay? The 3 aspects of it with the overlap. Unlike all the other projects that we have done, the reporting on this project is different. They do not want the law written reports. All the reporting must be done by video and photograph. In other words, they want videos and photographs of us cleaning the beach or the gully, you know, the before and after photos, the photos of you taking the photos of the garbage that was documenting the garbage that was collected and the weight of it and things like that. Because these must be uploaded to the portal that UNICEF and WISDOM is setting up so that everybody can go and see the benefits of this project. All right? That's where the communications and PR comes in, and they will be needing your assistance because that is a small committee. You're gonna need additional people to help with that. The project has provided some funding for that, and we have been able to secure some equipment to improve our ability to do those recordings, etc. As in software to edit it and a laptop to use to do that editing, things like that have been provided. Before we can officially start, we must conduct a local training. Remember I said 15 of us trained in November. That was online with the regional office. We now have to repeat the training here and train 30 additional people to be the persons spearheading the project, not doing the project on their own or managing it by themselves, but the people that will be spearheading it. We were originally planning to do it yesterday, but with everything else going on, that did not happen. This training is now scheduled for the 29th of March, 2 Saturdays from now. That would be day 1. We haven't set day 2 as yet. When we get there to day 1, we will agree on when day 2 will be. The training must include at least 30 persons. I have asked the districts to nominate people. I have not gotten all the names as yet. But if you are willing to participate in that project as one of the principals, please let your district know so that we can have the course filled out. We must have the numbers for the project. You want to ask a question, Jackie? Okay, I guess not.
No, please, my hand touched the button.
Okay, no problem. All right. So if you want to get involved in the project, talk to your DC. The spaces have been divided in the districts based on the number of groups in each district. But after Tuesday, any space not taken up will be free to anybody else who wants to do the course. So if you are interested, let your district know. Those of you who have younger leaders or older ventures, please encourage them to do the course. As I said, the course is youth-led climate action. And we want to have youth-led wherever possible. Okay? But it is open to all. You don't have to be under 30 to be a principal. That's not what we're saying. But we should be encouraging as many of the younger people to be involved as possible. The question has been asked, why are we undertaking this project? 2 reasons. No more than 2. 1, it is not a difficult project to do. It will call for some organizing, but based on what we do already, all 3 of these things that we are undertaking are things that we do not necessarily by ourselves, but with other people. And we can be looking at getting those same people involved with us. So it's not that difficult to organize. Unlike LEAP, where there are a lot of things to follow, this project is a lot more open in how we report and how the activities are planned. All the activities we do, even though we do have some consultants in it, are supposed to be simple projects that groups of individuals or individual groups can replicate on their own. In other words, it does not take the National Association planning and organization for a particular group to go and clean up a beach. Right? That is what they want. Something that your group could decide to be going and clean up a particular area. There's a lot in our area that is got a lot of bush, and it provides a problem for the neighbors, and we can go as a group and clean it up next Saturday. That is what they're looking for us to encourage things like that. That is part of the project, but we have stuck to the course and the gullies to make it easier to do. But that is the intention of the project. Backyard gardening is not something you have to bring in and train consultants to get people to do. For you to start a garden in your backyard or for your neighbor to do it is not something that you have to go and hire somebody to help you to do. And tree planting, again, the same thing. You mostly need to know the right place to plant the trees, but outside of that, the way we are looking at it, when we are finished, your group should be able to go and do it, or a 6 in your group or a patrol from your troop should be able to go and replicate one of the activities we are doing, not the whole thing. And that can only foster goodwill for scouting in Barbados. All right? We didn't do it for the money, because as I said, the money ain't get me everything we want. It can help me with some things, because that equipment that it's providing will benefit us going forward. But that was not the goal of it. But most importantly, I think it says something when of the 20-something or 30-something NSOs in the region, I think it's 20-something, that they pick us as one of the 2. It says a lot of the standing that we have among them, that the way they look at the way we operate, and they can put that trust in us that when they give us these funds, that we can use them how it's to be done, and we can complete the project. And I think we need to make sure that we do that we let them know their trust in us is not misplaced. I know we don't think we operate in the best of ways, but I can tell you from regional meetings and courses we do online and things, so a lot of things we take for granted, a lot of associations do not have. We take financial statements at headquarters level as a given. I mean, there've been 1 or 2 years when the auditor didn't finish in time, but within a month or two of the AGM, the accounts were ready. There are associations that, even though they're functioning fairly well or functioning well, haven't had an audited statement in however long. I was telling somebody that even when headquarters was barely functioning, when I was a youngster, they used to go audited financial statements. You know, these are things we take for granted that put us above. When we undertake projects, we finish them by not have been funded by them, but they see them in our reports. And I think we need to make sure that they keep that impression of us. All right? And it does well for our association at that level to be recognized for these things, and then to produce, as small as we are, not only were we selected, but we produced what was required of us. And that should be part, and why you should get involved is part of that. Pride in association and making sure that we stand above the rest. But also, it will add to your program at your group. The publicity and goodwill you can generate from your community in completing these activities can go well to benefiting your group, especially those of you who are still struggling after COVID. It can let the people in your school or your community, wherever you are based, see that you are back and you are doing things. Because in addition to uploading them to the portal, we can make them available to all our members and through our portals to show what we are doing. And that's why you should get involved. Part of this project is not just getting the activity done. It is a number of people impacted by the project. And that is part of the reporting. How many people we actually got turned out to help clean the beach, to help clean the gully. And then how many people were impacted by us cleaning that beach. These are things they want us to look at and report on. But that is for your benefit as well, because then you can see the impact that your small little group can have. By going and clean the beach, it may only be, well, we give y'all a small beach because a small group, it might only be 10 or 15 of y'all going to clean a beach, but the hundreds of persons that use that beach over the weekend are all impacted by what the 15 of y'all did. And by driving that home to your boys in taking part in the activity can give them the drive to do more. It is why we should get involved. I open now to questions and comments on this project.
All right, good evening. We back again.
Yes, sir.
I'm hearing you, right? And I'm reading the sustainability part of this, right?
Yeah.
And I understand it's a project, but I'm trying to figure out where's the sustainability part coming in? Because if we only are doing it for a period for the activities we're doing, and I look at it not just past us as well in terms of at the national level, our biggest problems are the things that we are touching on in is as in small parts here in that we're looking at gullies cleanup. Gullies is a major issue in terms of dumping. Beach as well. So even the backyard gardening, if most people remember, late Prime Minister Owen Arthur had told people to do that years ago. Now my question is, how do we translate what we are embarking on here into sustainable, a sustainable project in terms of long term, and not just giving. I understand we will give the boys the feeling at the moment of doing it, but how do we translate that for a longer feeling and a longer period?
You really keep me from my toes at these meetings. I ain't got time for coming because this one boy is asking questions to keep me from my toes. The sustainability is where I discuss the simplicity of the projects. The sustainability is not that every year we as an association can go and repeat them 4 beach cleanups and the 2 gully cleanups. The sustainability is having introduced the groups to the activity and having the template on how to do it, is that the individual groups and members of groups will continue doing it and keep the project sustainable. That make sense to you, or?
Right, not often, Mike.
Huh?
So you're hoping that it
Yes.
remains sustainable.
Yes, I am hoping.
But what can we do to take away the hope and actually make it sustainable?
Well, I am hoping that as we go through, y'all will come up with that answer.
When you say all, who you mean? Who you mean?
Y'all are participating in the project.
Oh, okay.
All right. It is not a come and do it. It can always be what feedback important. Feedback is required as well for a lot of reporting. And getting feedback from leaders on how we can reproduce this. Okay?
Okay.
I just remember when you was talking and in this project too, we'll be introducing 2 new badges from the OF tribe. That is Champions for Nature and Plastic Toy Turners. They are going to come in for this project, but they're not going to end with this project. They will continue part of the program. Champions for Nature is the new global conservation badge that I had before. They're no longer, that came out from World, and even though associations integrated into their program like us, World did away with the global conservation and they started Champions for Nature. And we are going to be introducing that into the program. So if these are part of it, and then the groups continue to work on the badges every year, that will help lead to the sustainability, hopefully, going forward. Champions for Nature and Plastic Toy Turners is to do with pollution of the oceans. Beaches, the actual seaways of itself, and reefs, etc. At world level, there's only 1 stage of the badge. There's a Champions for Nature badge, whether it's a Cub Scout, Venture Scout, Beaver, whatever. But we have a workshop on Saturday coming where we will be looking. We have people from each section and from the team on the badge, where we'll be looking at dividing the badge into stages. So there would be a stage for beavers, a stage for cubs, and then scouts and ventures together, or even separate scouts and ventures, that they can do both Champions for Nature and Plastic Toy Turners. And by introducing those into the program, hopefully they will help to project the sustainability going down the road, because as I said, we're going to be doing the badge this time around for the project, but the badge is going to stay. In November, when the project finished, the badge doesn't finish.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any other comments on the project as a whole? Just a comment as well. These activities I'm talking about, and there are others, we tend to think of them as special events as opposed to parts of our program. But in actual fact, all these things should be part of our programs. There are ways that they can be integrated in if we are forward thinking enough to include it into our programs. And that is something we need when we're doing our training, retraining of our leaders, is to help them to see things like that. It's not, there's be cleanups every year. There's the Turtle Project. There's a lot of different things that happen that we can work into our programs that will get our boys out there and provide more interesting activities for them. All right, I can see proposed projects and activities for 2025-2026. Most of what we are doing is going to be centered around what I've discussed so far. In addition to these, we have the fun day. Fun day would usually happen at the end of this month, beginning of next month. In actual fact, it would have been on the 29th of March during Scout Month. That would have been the plan. That was the plan date. But with camp 10 days later, we didn't think it was practical to put the fun day in there at that time. It would split our resources in planning the two activities so close together. It might affect financially people's preparation for camp, and therefore the camp participate fully in the fun day. There was a lot of different things came up, and therefore the fun day will happen this calendar year, not Scout year, but we have to decide when. And we're not going to decide now, but it is open to possibilities. Do we have it the Whitsuntide weekend? Do we wait till the end of the school year? Do we have it early in the new year, new school year? These are all possibilities. We have been talking about a promotional activity happening at the beginning of the school year for the last couple of years since we stopped the promotional march because of COVID. And there was debate on what that activity should look like. Should we combine the two this year and have this later in September? These are all questions. I'm going to throw out the promotional activity now. This is something we've talked about. It has gotten thrown out at different levels and nothing never happens again. And that is the promotional activity. Years before, we had the promotional march through town. And it's been debated how successful it was, not in the number of people turning up, but in promoting scouting and what we do. If we don't do that, what do we do? All right, they've been taught about having an activity in each district, but it can't be just the members of the district, because if you want numbers, we would all have to support the activities, so everybody would turn up for whatever we do in the South, in the North, and Bridgetown. That's one suggestion. But then the other thing is, what do we do? Does a march through town, or 6 roads, or Spoitstown, or Whole Town, or whatever, represent fully the scouting program? And what do we do to do that? Does a parade resonate with the people we want to attract and say, yes, come and join us? Or does it just say, maybe? These are questions we have to ask and answer, and not me ask and answer or my team ask and answer. That's a question we as an association have to ask and answer. Promotion March has traditionally been at the end of October, for the simple reason that groups don't start back to the second week in September, and therefore to get out notices to parents and all that, it can't happen till October. But if we are using the activity to promote as a recruitment activity, to promote scouting and get people to join, we gotta do it in September. By the end of October, people don't decide what extracurricular activities they're taking part in, if they're taking part in one. So when we do it that late, we're losing out. We may be advertising to the Cubs for next year, and that's a long time away. But end of October is not the time for that. So the question is, what can we have? Can we have a blend? I know some people feel that, and I'm not, by the way, I'm not saying what's my opinion. I'm giving out different suggestions. And I'm telling you all what I like from what I don't like. Some people may argue that we could do a march with the fun day. When we had the fun day for Thinking Day, we marched from Baxter's Road to Harrison College, and we weren't in uniform. All right? Did we have as much of an impact as if we would have been in uniform and had a quote unquote military parade? These are questions we gotta ask. But we can't go on a military parade in full uniform and then come to the park for fun and games. Because then we got the issue of boys having to change clothes. So how the clothes get in to the park? Because you can't march in a parade with a backpack with a change of clothes. That is been marching in a military parade. And then who looking after that clothes when that boy changed to make sure he put his shoes in his bag and all the different parts, so that the next week now the parents ain't telling you that he lost half his uniform in the park. These is all things we got to consider. How do we go forward? All right? And even if we can't give suggestions now, we need to do it soon. Whether it's through our district to headquarters or wherever, but these are conversations we need to have to decide how do we go forward. What image do we have to project to people? Come and join us, and this is what we can do. We can do that in videos easy because we can show boys taking part in different activities. Right? But again, how we get them out that people actually see them. Who can be in them? All right? It's hard to say promotional videos or pictures, but if we can't capture the right videos and pictures, we still can't use it for promotional value. All right? And these are the things we need to seriously look at. We are talking about recruiting volunteers. But when we recruit them, how do we treat them? And headquarters is partially guilty for this too. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to blame at everybody. There are problems that need to be corrected. But then again, if feedback does not come in time, the problems cannot be corrected amicably. When we recruit a volunteer, do we really tell them what's required of them? and I'm not talking necessarily of a leader, no, even a parent helper. Do we actually say to them, listen, we want you to come help, but A, B, and C? Or we just ask them to come and help, and then when they say yes and they turn up, we just ambush them with everything else that they need to do? When we get them to fill out a form to submit to headquarters, do they get back a timely response? All of us are busy, and we just forget. I talk about leaders now, I talk about headquarters. But you submit a form for a leader, and 2 weeks later, you ain't hear nothing at all, either from district or the headquarters. You need to ask a question. Sometimes they get to the district, and because of one reason or next, it didn't get passed there because, you know, it get tied up in everything else that's going on. Or it gone on to headquarters and it get missed. But now 6 or 8 weeks have passed before you now come to find out what happening. Anybody interested in the more, or the body wondering what kind of organization them running? And that's why I say we all gotta step up to the plate. We have been improving the system to try and monitor when these things come in and how long it takes to process and try to get out the bottlenecks, but we are not perfect. But again, it requires everybody to be part of the process. We cannot just take any and everybody. There must be some kind of vetting. But is the vetting taking too long? Is it working? These are all things we got to address. And we can only do that if you, the people on the ground, provide that feedback. We want to do a recruitment drive. I'm saying to the people that I seek funding from, and I've said that at some of our activities, our goal is to reach a membership of 2,000 young people. That's about doubling our youth membership, maybe a little more than a double. I see the hand up, just give me a minute. But we can't take in 1,200 youth members now with the number of leaders we got. The number of leaders we got can barely handle the boys that they got now. There's very few groups now that open that can take an influx of boys and be okay as far as leadership is concerned. There's one or two, but not the majority. So we have to work on the volunteer recruitment, get them in and get them past initial training to be able to take in the youth members. Yes, Juliet.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. I was thinking, sorry to be late, I was thinking visibility and recruitment. Can we as an association have like something like a sport, either a national cricket or football? I think mostly boys like cricket and football or basketball. Can we have that, like something national as a part of our visibility or recruitment or something like that, so that the boys that there now, at least we have something other outlet for like cricket, football, and basketball. I think those are the three things that boys like, and boys like to know that nowadays now that they're running, because we lose boys to different little football clubs and basketball clubs and like that. So could we on a national level, like an association, do that?
That is possible. It's just how we will organize it and how we will manage it and how will we integrate it into the program. Because we cannot do that to replace our program, because then we become a cricket club or a football club instead of Scouts. So we got to integrate it somehow into the program. but that is possible. Yes, Ron?
Yes, sir. Okay, well, Juliet got in, but this isn't a response to Juliet. This was before she actually got in. My question was, what do we want to promote? Or what do we want to promote? Is my question. You spoke to the march. So what would you said there was different views on what the march promoted or what was seen. So the question really is, what do we want to promote, or what really is going to capture a boy? Well, let me go to another one. What is going to capture a boy to come into the association, and also where are we going to go to capture this boy? Now, it's okay to say we're going into districts, but if you're going to a district, will you get your audience in any part of the district? So say, for example, we pick the garrison. We have come into, well, that's Bridgetown, right? Because when it's got me a little confused when we get around here. Yeah, that's Bridgetown. So say you hold activity at the garrison. Who would it capture if I hold an activity garrison? Am I then relying on somebody having an interest coming? Is that who I'm trying to attract, or I'm trying to attract somebody that doesn't have an interest coming? If I'm trying to get somebody that doesn't have an interest to come, going to garrison doesn't make sense, because they're horse racing, so I'm going to garrison, that makes no sense. So how do we focus our promotion in those points? What are we promoting? Who's the audience? And then how you capture the audience. So basically, that's where, for me, it stands. Because we can march to town. Everybody can say, yeah, we look pretty, but half of the time, actually, no. The majority of the time, that's people in town just looking. They ain't got no boys that looking at we, that ready saying, yeah, we want to be part of that. All we can hear is, yeah, we march to town and we look good. So from my point of view, the march doesn't capture what we're trying to do. They ain't really capturing the adults neither, because again, everybody just said we look pretty. That's most of the time what March is doing in Barbados. That's all people looking at marches for. Yeah, a band, they look pretty on the road. They ain't capturing nobody with that. I think we need to probably look at number 2. What is what we want to promote and where we going? Most of the groups in schools, I mean, I don't know how long it was like that, but that's where it is. Are we going to go into that environment and try to boost the numbers there, which might be a problem, because then you're having to get the leaders, as you mentioned. So how are we going to tackle it? So those are my points. And again, that was before Juliet. And to Juliet's point, I think that would be counterproductive, in that those are 3 things that the boys are already interested in. They can come, but only because of that. You ain't get nothing else out of it. So that would be my counter to Juliet's suggestion. But that was food for thought. You can move on.
You want to know the easy questions?
Sorry. You see, I try to keep quiet, but then I just can't keep quiet, because I mean
I appreciate your questions very much. That's what it's about, asking people to ask questions like that.
Yeah,
but it's all
we all try
to
we all try to make the association better. So I just try to put a view over there.
Yeah. The questions you ask are very pertinent, and that's what we got. That's what we got ask ourselves. That's why I tell them about the march. The benefit of the march, Ron, is yes, we look good, but it actually lets people see that there are still scopes. All right, that was the main thing for the march. But I agree with you. I don't think the march helps us to bring in people per se. And at the end of the march, there's an influx of members, both adult and youth. There is some influx, don't get me wrong, but not major. Right? But those are definitely what we need to ask. And that was my thing. We used to go to scout train. We had it for a couple of years. And that was my question because it went into communities. But if we go into a community, since we in this area, let's say we go into the Pine community and do a promotional activity, and you get boys come forward and say, yes, I want to join. Do we have a group nearby that they can actually go and join? Or do you have, or you have to tell them, well, check and see if there's one at your school. And that's where the second question you asked, where we going, is very important in that. Zachary.
Hi, good afternoon, sir. A question I have is as it relates to recruiting leaders per se. Like I said, I'm not sure what is being done behind the scenes, so I'm not sure if it's happening right now. But has thought been made in terms of collaborating with other agencies, like for example, the police or defense force, those are persons where we can get some of those persons to assist in being leaders? Has communication been made in that realm?
Not recently. It has happened in the past, but not to the results that we wanted. But again, I must say, in the times that we would have done it before, it was not the kind of concerted effort that we need to put forward now. And that is part of the intention with the recruitment drive. That if we can get out the promotional part of it, the videos, the photos out in the general public and raise that sensitivity among the public, that then when we do go to other agencies or other persons or go into school, people are aware of us, and you would then probably get a better feedback from what was done in the past. But to answer your question directly, not at this time, but it has been tried before. Any other questions or comments? With respect to other activities and projects, let us go forward to Scout Month next year. I think, oh no, sorry, there's one other thing that I just remember. Awards. Adult awards they're talking about now, to the adults. We had an adult award ceremony a couple of weeks ago, and about 80 people. No, because some get more, a couple get more than one, but we gave out about 80 awards, both to uniform and volunteers, adults. A lot of people don't seem to understand the system. Some people said they wasn't even aware of it, and there was different things that came up as far as it's concerned. I have set out that we will do it every 2 years. It's something we should be doing. Technically, it should be every year, but I don't think we have enough awards to give out. Once we finish the initial bulk, I don't think there are enough awards to give out as an annual something, but definitely every 2 years. However, I am looking at doing another award ceremony, either by the end of this calendar year or beginning next year calendar year, i.e. next school year. Because there were some people that were missed, including myself. I forgot 1 or 2 people. Not that I can't wait for 2 years, but as several people fall into this category, I am thinking that next school year we will do a second ceremony, smaller than we did this last one because it won't be that many people, but to do it. Because I think we need to appreciate our adult members and volunteers. We need to recognize their contribution. Let me just say how this works. there's an application form that if you believe there's a leader in your group or your district or a volunteer in your group or district you think should be recognized, you fill out the form with a citation, i.e. saying why you think they should get the award, and you submit it to the awards committee. It has to be endorsed. You can state the actual award or the category award the party should get. That's up to you. But we will understand clearly that because you nominate somebody for award does not mean that the person will get the award. There is still an awards committee who reviews all the submissions that are received and determine what award they will get. All right? So that's what we all understand that process. There are years of service attached to the award. That, for instance, it will say for a particular award and serving not less than 10 years. Okay? It does not automatically mean that if you serve 10 years, more than 10 years, that you are entitled to this particular award. Years of service is only one of the qualifications for the awards. The only award that years of service is the only qualification is the years of service award, which is the knot, the blue knot with the number next to it. Okay? So because you may have served 10 years and the middle, there are 5 awards, let's say number 3 is 10 years, don't mean you automatically start at 3. Doesn't mean you got to start at 1, but it don't automatically mean you start at 3. Okay? And that's something we need to consider when you are nominating people for awards. You also got to look at how long you think anybody will be in scouting. Because you don't want a person to reach a point where they can't get anything else. All right? And they are contributing. Right? So for instance, I got the already broken traded some time ago. That's the highest award. So regardless of what I do in scouting now, I can't get another award. I have reached the plateau and that's it. All right? And that's something you don't want, because you don't want somebody to reach the plateau too early and then they're doing work and you can't say to them, good job. Not that I'm looking for an award. I'm not saying that for that reason, but I'm just using myself as an example. So I want everybody to understand it so that when it comes back out, that we will think. We will understand that clearly. That'll be one of the activities, not the project. Gilwell reunion. Gilwell reunion will happen every other year. That's what we have planned. I'm speaking to the Gilwellians now. But it has been proposed that we have an activity every year. Not that every year we go to church service and the lunch at a hotel or something like, or whatever we do. But in the other year, we got like just a little social event for the Gilwellians. And I am trying that out there as a suggestion for you all to consider. And if you all think that's something we should be thinking, you can contact the training commissioner and let her know what you think. All right? You can contact the training commissioner at training@barbadoscouts.org. All right? But that is something I'm trying out as an activity. We need to look at things that we can do for our adults and volunteers that is not an actual activity that I got to supervise children at. That was the plan of the social, the leaders social. But that is only usually for adult leaders. But we got a lot of volunteers. How do we recognize the work of our volunteers? Outside of an award now, what kind of activities we can provide for them that they may be interested in, that they can come and let go a little bit of steam. All right. It isn't a rigid activity to go and be supervising boys and things like that. And that's the kind of activities we need to look at as well that we can do for our groups. We also have some groups that have been unable to restart. And once the year starts and we get the camp behind us and things, I'll be meeting with the DCs to look at these groups and see what kind of support can be given to those groups to get them back up and running. And your support in that and suggestions would be appreciated. Granted, there can be a one-off plan on how we can do this, because the problems in each group is different. Whether it's leadership, whether it is availability of boys, whether it is the reputation built up in the school, you know, things like every group is different. And this is something we have to look at so that we can boost our numbers. Our numbers can be boosting just building the groups that are existing and making them better. We got to look at the groups that are struggling or could not start back and get them back up and running. And they are going to need support. And I think we as leaders need to see how we can help that. The support they need may be you and your group helping them with activities, or you inviting them to some of your, not all, to some of your activities. Because if a group got a leader and 4 boys, they are limited in that leader is limited in the number of activities they can offer their boys. Because a lot of activities you can't plan for 4 boys. But you inviting them to come along with you on something, because they may not want to ask you if them can come, may be the difference in helping that group build a little more or peter out. Because you want them 4 boys going, but when they come back and be telling the friends that we went such and such a place, or we did such and such, it can be the boost to encourage a couple more to come along. So that next time, instead of 4, is 6. But this is where we have to be our brother's keeper in what we are doing. This can only happen if we got them social activities we're talking about. Because if I only know you by seeing you at Founders Day, I certainly ask you to come to my activities, but I don't even know who you are. I mean, I even know your name, so I still can't ask you to come and take part in my activities. And that's why we need to encourage this more. But again, what are your suggestions? What else can we do to build scouting in Barbados? Activities and projects we can do to build scouting in Barbados outside of what we talk about already. Oh, there's one other thing, but I asked a question, so let me ask you. You answered before I grab the next one. All right, no, so don't forget. No questions? No suggestions? Well, the door is not closed. Headquarters at BarbadosScouts.org. Always open, 24/7. And somebody's checking every day. They may not ask about every day, but somebody's checking every day. And when the admin assistants start working, hopefully from April 1st, they will be required to answer it every day. Uniform support. Wait, Samsung, come on, so.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Well, I'm looking forward to the national camp. I was always hoping to have a camp like that where you will have the boys at different levels. So the beavers to see what goes on in Cubs and the Cubs see what goes on in Scouts. Because the thing is, some of you ask the boys when they're leaving primary school if they're going to join a Scout troop. they're not sure. So the camp will give them that experience and hopefully that initiative to move on up in scouting.
Noted, and I agree with you there. Anybody else? Uniform support. Oh, wait, somebody asking a question, sorry. Yeah. All right, uniform support. Part of the money from the Scout and Renewed grant has been identified for uniform support. And we have developed how we are going to do this. It is expected to take effect from April 1st. And I'm hoping that the committee that goes with it will be appointed at the executive meeting we have in April. I think we are meeting on April 22nd. So that by May 1st, at the latest, that committee will be in place. This is how we envision uniform support will work. Let me say from the start, I am not a supporter of free uniforms. Okay? I think free uniforms is a system begging for abuse. I see how little care our boys pay to their expensive uniforms that the parents complain about. And I don't see that improving if we get them the uniform for free. Also, if we give you a uniform for free and you wait for a term and then drop out, then you're gonna bring back the uniform. I mean, it can be that I give a uniform for a term free and then that's it. If you bring back the uniform, then who manages it? Who do we give it to next? Everybody gonna want a new uniform, nobody want a second. We ain't getting on that road at all. What we'll be looking to do is subsidizing the cost of uniforms. Okay? Different and above the little $5 is getting now from PwC. All right? As much as I appreciate the PwC money, we can only give you $5 because we try to spread it out to as many people as possible. And there's a cap on how much money is that they give us. We will set up a system where anybody joining the association or changing sections will have a substantial amount of their uniform subsidized on the uniform support. That first uniform. That's youth or adult. Okay? But to be able to access it, you must be registered. So when a boy joins in September, but you don't submit your name till January, the registration, the supplemental registration, can't get that uniform in October. Because if a foreman come in with his name on it, he can't get it. The leader can access it when they have been accepted as a leader and they complete initial, I think it's initial. There's a certain amount of training they have to complete before they can be invested. And then once the training commissioner has indicated to the shop, this body is eligible to buy a uniform, then they will have access to the discount. All right? So, person doing registration will notify the shop of all the new people that come in that registered, they will be eligible. Trainer would identify the adults and they'll be eligible for your first uniform. Subsequent to that, if you are replacing parts of your uniform, it should be easier for the parent or leader to replace a single part. In other words, you wear a shirt, so you gotta change your shirt. Or you lost your hat, you gotta buy a hat. That is the easiest thing than coming to buy a whole uniform. All right? Because you should only be buying a belt once. Right? Things like that. However, for persons who cannot afford to buy the replacement parts, whether youth or adult, there will be a national grants board. I think that's the correct name for it. Yes. That is what the executive will set up at his next executive meeting. Are you already? I think we identified the person for that. It just has to go through and be approved. Requests can be made to the grants board through the district for the support to buy the needed uniform in cases of genuine need. You hear me saying that a lot, genuine need. The leader should know, and they will make a request to the district. It will be an anonymous request. In other words, the name does have to be recorded, but it's not a case where everybody up the chain will know who that name is. The district will identify someone, whether the DC or one of the senior members of the team, and that is the person who will have the name. And that name is to be kept in confidence. Part of your GDPR training. Okay? Each district will, the board will be chaired by a member of the executive, associate member of the executive, and there will be a representative from each district and headquarters, a uniform person from headquarters on that board that will manage it. But they will discuss who they'll be supporting, but not necessarily names of the, they won't be discussing the names of the persons to receive support. But they have to manage the fund and make sure the money is spent according to how it's allocated. Okay? And that is how we will work uniform support. Similarly, with the first uniform, if there's genuine need, then more than the discounted amount will be made to the new uniform. But I am suspecting that where possible, these should be few and far between. I believe you should be making, once you can afford it, some contribution to your uniform. All right? And that is how we propose to work uniform support. It will be a system we will be testing, so feedback is important, or if anybody got a better suggestion on how we should attack uniform support, I am all ears.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I was trying to follow your process for the anonymous situation. I think I get lost somewhere. So you can repeat.
Yeah.
You said it will come through the leader, and the leader will submit the name to who?
Whoever the body in the district has identified.
Right. So the district has to identify a point person for this process.
Right.
So the leader going to this point person.
Yes. You're sending through the name through your ADC or district scout or anything like that.
Right. So I have boy X. I go say I have boy X to the district rep. The district rep then takes that name where?
To the
Or doesn't
national
take the
point.
name
No. They take the request, not a name.
request.
the request to the National Appointments Board. Not appointments, we're saying.
I know
Assistance
you didn't
Board,
mean that.
Assistance Board.
I know damn who you didn't mean, but I had the
Yeah.
board with it. Okay.
Right.
So then,
They
so
will
the
take the
board,
request to the board.
so what information would the board have or get?
Board,
They would
board
just,
would know there is a boy in the district that needs assistance with their uniform.
that's what they would know. Okay.
And the district person will assure them that they did the necessary check to make sure that is so.
Okay.
All right.
How
That, to make sure that you submit you sign name so that you get a free uniform.
right, you said the district. Good. All right, yeah, sorry. You said something and I've been thinking about something else. Repeat what you just said. Sorry. Repeat what the last thing you just said.
In other words, when you go to the district, you go to the person, and you say, I got a boy that such and such, he needs support, right? I would take the body in district and ask you a couple of questions, you know, like what the situation is, and you know, make sure he's a regular member of the group and things like that. Cause we want to get uniform support to somebody that's come twice a term, you know. Right?
Okay. So you sort of open up, you sort of open up another set of questions for me.
Yeah.
That, is it going to be mandated these are the questions to be asked, or is it at the district rep discretion to ask or investigate? How they choose to investigate?
I can't answer that question right now. That's something we gotta flesh out as we putting it in place. But there must be some kind of basic information that is recorded with the request.
Right. So this leads me on to where it was getting to with the board. So the board, no, so say Bridgetown District has 5 boys, 5 different groups come into this district rep. What goes to the board now? They're identified.
So that they will go to the board now and say, we got 5 boys in the district that need support. We have verified that is, you know, that they're really, the family is really in need, and that's it, more or less.
Right. So the board now, when reviewing this now, have 5 from Bridgetown District, 5 from North, 5 from South. You said just now they would decide who might get support. How would they make that decision, and how is it translated out to the grouping?
Based on what?
5. What was the we're trying to find out when it comes to anonymous, wow, that word is, I can't remember. What's the link you bring it back down to link or that went up as boy here, BC.
You break up, I ain't hear you there.
Sorry. What was the link between the boy that went up as boy A, B, C, D from the district to the board? There's
a difference between them.
No, but then you said, so you're saying all the boys that go up will get help? Because I thought you said just no.
Because the board can ask, but you check and verify that, you know, this information correct, or this is a valid case, and the body says yes, then it approved. But when I ask that question, the body said, well, I really didn't get back to check, or I didn't ask this question, or so then it would be, no, you need to go back and verify this.
Yeah, I thought earlier you said that the board then will make a decision on which boys will get help.
Right, based on the information that comes from the district. But not individual as Ron can get, but not Trevor. Right? By rights, Ron, the only reason you shouldn't get support is if all the money run out.
Okay. No, I just thought earlier I said I would try to link how you put it. I thought you said that the decision will be made at the board who gets, but then when you say obviously, then you said really.
Right.
You said
who gets as in of the requests that come in, yes. But it's not gonna be that we look and see what this boy's situation is and all of that. Is that we can make sure we are proving it after we make sure that the district has done its due diligence.
Dude, right, okay, right, okay,
All right?
yeah, all right, okay.
Uh-huh.
It's already a gray area, okay.
Right. All right. Any other questions on uniform support or suggestion on how we should approach?
Yeah, I don't remember I had another follow-up. To be clear, again, like you know, I should have written it down. There was something about the leaders about the leaders. You said the leaders, the new leaders, a new leader first uniform will be subsidized.
Yes. Same as the
And
boy.
right. And then what was you said about the parts? I think that was it.
You see, it's saying they got to pay for your parts, but if we have a leader that is in genuine need, then the same way you make a request for a boy, you can make a request for one of your leaders.
Right. So the parts of the uniform subsidized as well.
If they need it.
Right. So all right, you were specific to a new leader first uniform. So an
Yes.
old leader coming for
Yes.
a part of the uniform will be subsidized.
If they need support.
If they
Ain't
need
automatic.
support.
If
Ain't
they need
automatic.
support. Ain't automatic.
So it's not automatic for
Yeah.
a leader in the association now to get a subsidized part of a uniform.
Right.
I think that's what
And by the way,
okay.
the parts for all the boys, for boys that ain't already, uniform support is available if they need it. That requesting support for a boy is not just for new boys. That's for anybody in your group, adult or youth.
Okay. No, I
Right.
think I understood that part of the support.
Right.
But I looking at the subsidizing now. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if in the first time it was that
I guess I know, because I gotta look at the money and how many leaders we got and boys we got, right? That new. I mean, average per year. But let me say the 50% the discount on new uniform will only be for a new person. And I ain't saying it's 50%, by the way, I just drawing an example.
right. But I was
Right?
more concentrating on the leaders
No.
that if
No,
you
the
getting
leader
a part,
and the only support that you can get is if you need
if you
support.
need support. Okay,
Just
that's
like any
subsidizing
boy.
there.
Yes.
And okay, all right, okay, all right.
All right.
Wait, it's cost to be a new leader again? No, just kidding, just kidding. I just kidding.
But anyway, I want to put in here that support is available for other things as well, even though we ain't got to support a board. In other words, support should be let me use the word should be available for the boy that do not want to afford the fee for national camp, whether from group, district, or headquarters, or all three together. Support should be available for boys that can't afford camp fees or something like that, or activities that the group may have. You're going on some special tour and there's a fee attached to it. A child in genuine need should be able to get support to participate in that activity, whether it is group, district, or national, or a combination of all three. I know I titled uniform support, but there should be support available, period. Any other questions on that? I don't know if what we've been doing count as number 5, but we were going to number 5, which is question and answer time. If anybody has any questions they want to ask other than what we have discussed, the floor is open to anything, well, almost anything. Can't say anything. Almost anything, scouting. Put that in there too. You want to see the names if it's finding.
I only see Marguerite, but I'm watching.
Your question and answer time? All right,
Question, sir.
yes,
So we had the movie night recently, which is basically part of fundraising. Is it possible to have at least 2 events a year, which will help with, as I said, the same assisting boys with uniforms and any other necessities? Use that as the only activities to raise the funds to put it there. As it was still like it was to put money on one side, it's like bad.
yes, that is possible. It would be for the fundraising committee, finance committee to plan or organize. Not sorry to organize, but to plan for the activity to take place. I must say we have attempted to fill out a finance committee, but I don't even think we got all the representation by districts that we asked for as far as that's concerned. But yes, that is possible. And I'm glad you raised that because it was one thing I forgot completely on the proposed projects and activities. And that is the fundraising concert on Saturday. We have a fundraising police band concert. And the tickets are out. I got them here. Not all, because some distribute. And we need to get the tickets sold. I would hope that every member of the association will support the concert, not necessarily by buying a ticket, but by at least selling one ticket, if not to the friends and family. All right. Of course, if you can afford to buy a ticket, you can buy a ticket. You can't come that far. I would encourage you to buy a ticket if you can, but at least selling at least 1 or 2 tickets concert. The concert is being held to raise funds for the association, general funds, and it is under the patronage of our patron. Tickets are $45. They are available from the office here at headquarters, the scout shop, or the district commissioners. Anybody that needs to get tickets that can't contact any of them, they can send an email to headquarters and we will arrange for you to get the ticket and collect the funds. It's only a week left, well, 6 days left now to the concert, but we need to get all the tickets sold. We need to do that if we want to raise the money that we need. The concert will be approximately 2 hours for those who are wondering. It starts at 6 and there is, I think, a 20-minute intermission in between the concert, and there will be refreshments, and I do not think they're being sold, if I remember correctly, is included in the price of the ticket. There won't be a lot because there's only 20 minutes for people to come outside, get refreshments, consume them, and get back inside and sit down. So it can't be a meal. And if you want to go to the bathroom in that intermission, then it will even be shorter. Because like most places, you won't be able to take the refreshments into the hall. Okay? But I would encourage you to support the concert and help us sell the tickets. Any other questions and answers?
So without if we can, the examples that could actually generate uniforms and
I addressed that. Somebody was asking if we can use a system where you return uniforms and reuse it. And yes, it can be done, but it is the managing of it and who will get the second-hand uniforms as opposed to who will get a new one. That's the question involved. And you have to appreciate the cadet uniforms are made from a much harder material than ours. And it is not little children running about in it. And wear and tear on it will be different. That's why I was not even considering that. But I know that some groups do that, where they provide uniforms to people that can't afford by getting back uniforms from persons. That's something I have no problem with at the group level, but I would not, with the manpower we have now and support that we receive physically, I would not even try to attempt a system like that. Any other question or answer? I'd like to put in a pitch now for the property. We have been doing some work on the property and around the property for those who have visited. We've had some donations. As you can see that when you come, the grounds are a lot better kept than before, as we were able to secure a drive more and some other equipment. I'm not going to go into the donation of that because that has not been publicized as yet. We're waiting on the sponsor to get back to us on that. But we've also had some setbacks. As some of you may have known, in November last year, somebody came and took all the solar powered security lights that we had. They seemed to like them better than us, including the one that was over 2 years old. Since then, we've received a donation for new lights. We have put up some of them. We've not got all of them put up as yet. We have secured some funding, a sponsor for to get the building painted, but we will need to prepare the building ourselves. We got to scrape it and patch certain areas. So as the call goes out for the different things to do with headquarters, I urge you all to help where it's possible that you would volunteer your time to come and assist. We need to get our headquarters looking a certain way, and all of our sponsors are not looking to donate everything out of hand. They want to see us helping ourselves and them helping us to do it, not doing it for us. And therefore, your support in these things is crucial. Any other questions that you want an answer to? Now is the time. The floor is open. All right, 6, any other business? I just want to update you on the appointment of a chief commissioner. As we all know, my time ends on the 30th of June. The post has been advertised and the deadlines for applications have been closed. It is anticipated that interviews will take place between the end of this month and beginning of next month, so that when the executive meets on the 22nd of April, they can make a determination on the proposal from the appointments committee. They are not obligated to accept their recommendation, and if they so desire, they can put it back out to tenure. So, but the hope is to have the entire process finished by the time we come round to AGM on either the 17th or the 24th of June this year. In addition to that, the term for all the appointments that I would have made at the beginning of my tenure, most of them will come to an end on, I think, the 31st of August. That will be the 3DCs, the 4 sectional tiers, and that's it. That's all 7 this time. because the training commissioner has changed since then, so that appointment doesn't come to an end. And the property commissioner has changed as well, so that will not come to an end then. So you can expect to see those posts advertised by the end of this month. Applications will be open for 4 to 6 weeks. I'm not sure which one it is. And then there will be appointments with the interviews and whatnot. Obviously, the new persons will not be appointed until the new chief is selected. Because obviously, you can't pick people for the next chief. So even though the posts are being advertised now and the interviews will take place, when the new chief is appointed, then he will receive the report of the appointments committee, and he will make his selection for his team from that. Whether those people will take effect from the 1st of August or the 1st of September, new people have to determine that. I want to say to you what I said last time. It is no longer the appointment of the chief, whoever you feel like. Persons must go through the vetting process, which means applications must be submitted. They must be endorsed. Can't remember if it's one body or two people. People can endorse more than two people. People can be endorsed by, somebody can endorse more than one candidate. So it's not like everybody gonna look for different people. And you must submit a police certificate of character. If I had to apply for police certificate of character to apply for chief commissioner, I don't see why none of one can apply for a certificate of character to apply for whatever position you all feel like. Okay? So let me know if I ask about the need for that here. All right? Application has to come in with that. It will be vetted by the appointments committee. They will arrange interviews for the people that submit applications, and then they will prepare a report for the new chief. All right? Who will then appoint his team from that. I want to say to you, if you don't apply, take what you get and don't complain. If you apply and you ain't get it, then you got grounds to complain. But if you don't apply, take what you get. Somebody got a question there? See somebody on mute. Oh, that was a mistake on the mute button. All right, that goes for all the positions that are going to be available. That was so for chief commissioner. It can be so for the other posts. So don't think it should be not this body when them is the only body that apply. If them is the only body that apply, well, that's what it can be. Okay? I hope we all understand that clearly and we know what we gotta do. You might not want a job, but you feel somebody should get the job, then you need to go and twist the arm and get them to apply. Or fill out the form for them and send it in 1 or 2. Right? But I want everybody to understand that process clearly. It's not a case of me, well, not me, because it can be new chief. It's not a case of new chief picking his friends. It will be it will be chosen, might still be friends, but it will be chosen out of those who apply and pass the vetting process. Any questions on that? Or comments? I hope we all understand that clearly. I want to say one other thing, and that is about AGM. I have been disappointed the last 2 AGMs. I was on the last one because I was ill on sick leave, but I saw the attendance reports. And I have been disappointed in the attendance at AGMs. For as long as I can remember, people have wanted to attend AGMs and could not. There's always be debate for who turned up and whether they should be evicted. I mean, I talk about in the past. Came with a new constitution and we went with the new process where everybody should have representatives at the AGM. And we allow each group a number of delegates at the AGM. And I think I can clearly say that not 10% of the groups are represented at AGM. Maybe the first one, it might have been like maybe 15 or 20%. But certainly last one, 10%. Attendance at AGM allows you not just to hear the reports, but it allows you to decide who will represent you on the executive committee. It allows you to decide the other decisions that are made at the AGM in line with what the direction the association will take in the coming year. And in this occasion, in 2025, Lord willing, you will have a say in who is selected as the next chief commissioner of the Barbados Boy Scouts Association. Because the executive can receive the report of the appointments committee. They can decide who they will nominate at the AGM, but the AGM still has a vote. And even if one name comes forward, you can still vote no. In other words, because one name comes forward does not make that person automatically chief commissioner. There is still a yea, nay, and abstain. All right, same goes for executive members. So let me tell you now so you can start planning. Each group is allowed one delegate, being a group scout leader or leader in charge. And then you are allowed an additional delegate for each sectional group, each sectional unit in your group. So if you got a Kappa and a Beaver colony, you allow 2 additional delegates. If you got Cubs, Beavers, Cubs, Scouts, and Ventures, you got 4 additional delegates to that one person. And then in addition to that, the delegate does not have to be a uniform leader. They can be any registered adult in the group, i.e., whether it is the chairman, the secretary, treasurer, one of the floor members, or even one of the ventures who's an adult, i.e., over 18 years old. Any adult member or associate member can be a delegate for the group. So you can start deciding who will be your group delegates from now, so that when the correspondence come out in May, you understand, but I had the time, I didn't know who to put. These are all the things that is here. I ain't sure who the is and all of that there. So you can start doing it from now. You can't ask for responsibility for do certain things and then ignore it when you get it. That's the thing we was asking about for years. And now we got it and nobody interested in it anymore. So that's it for me and any other business. So I'm giving you 2 minutes to see if you got anything else. Anybody else want to raise anything else? Now the time. We are approaching 6:30, so no, nobody. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming. The those that had questions to ask, those who still thinking about them or was afraid to ask a question, send an email to headquarters@barbadoscouts.org and we'll see what we can do. Ron, I'm going to give you a prize for most consistent question answering and good questions too. So thank you very much for coming, and I hope to see some of you at the concert, if not all, but at least that you will support the concert and see all that count. Good hunting.
Good evening, everybody.